Detective Inspector Lee leads a raid on a ship with the Hong Kong police force. Their target is a crime syndicate, but they only find one person, Sang, who is just a lackey for the real mastermind. Sang escapes to save his life, leaving Lee empty-handed. Meanwhile, Chinese Consul Han informs his friend British Commander Thomas about the raid and celebrates the apparent victory. Lee encounters Su Yung, Consul Han's daughter, who confides in him that she doesn't want to accompany her father to America. In an attempt to reassure her, Lee gives her a pendant and assures her that everything will be all right. In Los Angeles, we meet James Carter, an undercover cop known for his talkative nature. Carter is on a mission involving a bomb maker named Clive. They arrange a meeting where Clive signals to initiate a sale. However, the situation takes a dangerous turn when two local police officers unexpectedly arrive, instructing everyone to raise their hands. Quick on his feet, Carter discreetly signals Clive to escape. Ignoring the police orders, Clive fires at the officers and makes a run for it. In the ensuing chaos, Carter unleashes a barrage of detonations at Clive, who manages to leap from his car just before it explodes. Amidst the commotion, Carter reveals his true identity as an undercover cop with the LAPD and apprehends Clive. While Lee is dealing with the fallout of the ship raid in Hong Kong, Carter's encounter with Clive brings him into the larger world involved in an international crime syndicate. The arrest of Clive becomes a pivotal moment. In Los Angeles, Consul Han and his daughter Su Yung have recently arrived. Their immediate plan is to drop Su Yung off at school. While in the midst of this, Han's employee informs him about a call from China. As Su Yung heads to school, Han attends the call from China. However, the conversation is abruptly cut short. On her way to school, Su Young's car is stopped by Sang, who disguises himself as a policeman. In a swift move, he incapacitates the bodyguards, abducts Su Yung, and leaves the scene. The FBI receives intel on the kidnapping and assures Consul Han they will resolve the case. However, Han, trusting in Inspector Lee's capabilities, insists on involving him. FBI Officer Russ, hesitant about Lee's involvement, assigns the LAPD a task related to the case. The LAPD chief delegates this assignment to the somewhat inept Carter, informing him that the FBI requires his assistance. Carter, unaware of the bigger picture, meets with the FBI and realizes he must keep Inspector Lee at arm's length until the case is resolved. An intriguing dynamic unfolds as Carter, now aware of the urgency, encounters Lee for the first time. Despite attempts to engage Lee in conversation, he remains silent, adding an element of mystery to the unfolding plot. Carter faces a dilemma when his chief warns him that keeping Inspector Lee away from the case might lead to suspension for 2 months. Faced with this ultimatum, Carter decides to take matters into his own hands. He contacts his informant, Stuckey, who reveals that an unknown individual is discreetly acquiring firearms and weapons. This crucial information is corroborated by Carter's cousin, Lute. Taking Lee along in his car, Carter stops at a store to grab some food. Upon returning, he discovers Lee missing along with the car's steering wheel. Lee, exhibiting his resourcefulness, manages to reach Consul Han, employing a clever card trick to enter the embassy. There, he finally meets Consul Han, who arranges for agents to interview Lee. Simultaneously, Carter, unaware of Lee's whereabouts, tows his car to the embassy. The situation takes a humorous turn when FBI officer Russ confronts Carter about the mishap, highlighting the comedic elements amidst the unfolding tension. Carter's determination to solve the mystery. In a twist of fate, Carter unintentionally answers Sang's phone call, revealing plans for a $50 million exchange at a specific building. The FBI, led by Officer Russ, tracks Sang's location and surrounds the building, preparing to raid it. As the tension mounts, Lee senses something awry and confronts FBI Officer Russ, but his warnings go unheeded. The situation takes a tragic turn when an explosion rocks the building, causing it to collapse, resulting in the loss of officers' lives. Lee, undeterred, spots Sang in the aftermath and begins a pursuit, with Carter following closely. Sang escapes into a closed building, engaging Lee in a confrontation. As the chase continues, Sang falls onto a bridge, dropping a detonator. Lee follows suit, urging Carter to halt, but Carter persists. As the bridge collapses, both Lee and Sang plummet downwards. Sang manages to escape in a car while Lee discovers the fallen detonator. They head to the LAPD headquarters where Lee inquires about the detonator from Johnson. Johnson reveals that the detonator is intended for explosive use, raising the stakes of their mission. In response to this revelation, James and Lee visit Clive in jail for interrogation. Clive discloses crucial information about a person named Wanta who purchased C4 from him. He directs them to the Food Chav restaurant in Chinatown, where Wanta might be found. Following this lead, they surveil the restaurant, hoping to catch Wanta in the act. Their surveillance pays off when they spot Sang entering the restaurant. Meanwhile, Sang contacts Council Han, urging him to send the money to the same location. The tension mounts as Lee and James realize they are on the verge of a breakthrough in their investigation. Carter takes on the role of Juntao's lawyer, using Lee's ID to gain entry to the restaurant. He approaches the waitress and announces his intention to meet Juntao. Unbeknownst to him, Juntao is none other than Council Han's friend, British Commander Thomas. Thomas orders Su Young to be relocated and instructs his men to deal with Carter. Meanwhile, Lee arrives at the restaurant and notices the pendant he gave to Su Young around the neck of one of the waitresses. Sang departs, leaving behind orders for Carter to be tortured and eliminated. Lee intervenes just in time to save Carter from harm. Together, they navigate through the chaos, dodging ammunition projectiles and attempting to escape. Lee manages to retrieve the pendant from the waitress amidst the turmoil. As they flee, a massive explosion rocks the restaurant. Despite the danger, they emerge unscathed. However, their respite is short-lived as the FBI arrives, accusing them of disrupting their operation. Agent Russ demands their removal from the case, informing Lee that he is to return to Hong Kong. Lee and Carter's efforts to save Su Young and unravel the plot have put them at odds with the authorities, forcing them to confront the consequences of their actions. As they prepare to return to Hong Kong, the stakes escalate, leaving them with more questions than answers. The League Council offers apologies to Han, revealing that the CM has been abducted by Juntao. Despite their disappointment, they ask Lee and Carter to leave. In a twist, Sang demands a higher ransom of 70 million instead of the initial 50 million. Carter bids farewell to the League, while Lee heads to the airport disheartened. However, Carter has a change of heart and resolves to rescue Su Young instead of abandoning the case. He seeks help from LEPD's explosive specialist Johnson and rushes to the airport. On the plane, Carter opens up to Lee about his father's tragic death during a traffic stop due to his partner's inaction. Lee sympathizes and agrees to join forces to save Su Young. Meanwhile, Council Han informs Thomas about Juntao and advises him to pay the ransom. As evening falls, the FBI and Chinese agents strategize a ransom exchange. Tensions mount as they prepare for the crucial operation. Lee, Johnson, and Carter arrive at the exhibition, where Carter creates a distraction to clear the area. Lee witnesses Sang handing a detonator to Thomas, prompting her to alert everyone. Thomas displays the detonator, threatening to explode it if anyone interferes. In response, Kra discreetly exits the exhibition and discovers Su Young tied near a van outside. Attempting to free Su Young, Kra learns that the jacket tied to her is rigged to explode if tampered with. Carter drives the van into the building, aligning with Su Young to disrupt the gathering. Lee swiftly brings Su Young into the van alongside Johnson. As Johnson removes Su Young's jacket, Carter engages in a firearm discharge, instructing Lee to pursue Thomas. As Carter distracts the gathering, Lee's pursuit of Thomas becomes a pivotal moment in their race against time. As Thomas ascends the building, he reaches the control room, where he takes drastic action by eliminating an FBI agent and injuring Rasa. Carrying a bag filled with money, he heads toward the building's terrace, where a helicopter is poised to receive him. Lee, undeterred, continues his pursuit of Thomas, determined to thwart his escape. Simultaneously, Sang reaches the control room, where he begins transferring the remaining money into a bag. Carter arrives just in time, confronting Sang. In a tense moment, Sang challenges Carter to a physical confrontation. Both men drop their weapons, and just as the situation reaches a critical point, Carter surprises Sang by using another concealed weapon to incapacitate him. Carter's quick thinking and unexpected moves subdued Sang, preventing any further violence. As Thomas fires at Lee, a struggle ensues, and Lee finds himself in a precarious position, hanging onto the edge. Thomas attempts to dislodge Lee by swinging his bag, causing it to burst open and scatter the money. In an unexpected turn, Thomas loses his footing and grabs onto Lee's jacket, which tears apart, leading to his demise. As Lee's grip begins to falter, he calls out to Carter for assistance. Despite his tendency to joke in tense situations, Carter ultimately comes to Lee's aid. With quick thinking, he uses a nearby banner to prevent Lee from falling, saving him from certain danger. Grateful for Carter's intervention, Lee expresses his thanks. At the reunion, Soo-young scolds Lee for his tardiness, but he makes amends by returning her pendant. Council Han, pleased with the resolution, allows Carter a first-class ticket to Hong Kong for a vacation. Despite FBI agent Russ urging Carter to visit the FBI at the airport, Carter declines, expressing his intention to stay with the LEPD. On the flight to Hong Kong, Carter and Lee embark on their journey together, marking the end of our story. Please like the video and subscribe the channel.